Hey guys, it's Malthor here once again, and my last character, the Ele Sunder Raider, for the 2-week solo self-found hardcore race, was going pretty damn well until this happened here. I kinda got a bit complacent and stopped caring too much about life or death as I was getting into higher maps and more challenging content, especially because my gear wasn't going too well as that there was only about 20 hours left of the race. So it didn't really matter. I kind of just stood there and tried to take as much damage as I could while dealing out as much damage as I could. I bet on myself there and it didn't work out. That said, the Ele Sunder Raider has been working out pretty damn well. I could have definitely kept this character going. It hit 89.5, could have hit 90 quite comfortably, could have hit a lot higher than that. At these lower tier maps, it was one of the fastest and most enjoyable characters I've played in recent times. It's just when it got to the higher maps, I really needed to start ramping up my gear as I had absolutely no weapon ele damage on any of my jewelry, didn't have a Taste of Hate, didn't have a Lion's Roar, didn't have any good weapons, didn't have a 6-link. So all in all, I will show you guys what the setup consists of and how it can be improved, but to say the least, or to sum up, with real proper gear, just about 5 exalts worth of investment, it would go up about 5 or 6 times of damage. So I was pretty lacking in the whole damage department, but it was really fast and really enjoyable. Through the lower stages, tier 6 to 10 was very comfortably farmed, even on hardcore with solo self-found. So it seems to be a pretty good budget character while farming these sorts of maps and just getting some good XP down without investing really almost anything. So it is then just a bit of a shame that we couldn't see the character come to full fruition since it's a Void League and there's no way to have ever gotten the character back on Legacy or Standard and beef him up with real gear. Did manage to take down Itziri a couple times. It went pretty smoothly and fairly easily, except for the Itziri phase in the end because I had to take out Multi-Strike since you can't use it for the mirror phase, and yeah, it's just a bit harder there. But otherwise, DPS is fine, even with my shitty gear and shitty DPS. We did do a couple of Itziri runs on the solo self-found hardcore, of course. Got a little clenchy at times as well. But other than that, the character was pretty damn good for farming strongboxes, the invasion monsters, because they had lots of packs. And as you can see, Sunder really does scale insanely well the more monsters there are, because the shockwaves end up overlapping for each additional monster, and ends up being really fast and fairly safe because I was a hybrid sort of armor evasion thing with both a granite and a jade flask, and in the end I grabbed Valpak too just to be even that little bit more safe. But without just that little bit of extra gear and damage, the exiles didn't go down that easy, and some bosses did have a bit of trouble as well, though the Warchief plus Vile Lightning Trap did take care of business. Now, here I'm demonstrating Lightning Strike because it is a viable alternative in this build, just like Frostblades, let's say. Frostblades and Lightning Strike can be built in a full Ele conversion type build, but the problem, as you can see in this example, is with Raider, with so much attack speed like I currently have, you really start to tank your frames using Lightning Strike. So the next patch that's coming with performance improvements cannot come soon enough because things like Lightning Strike with this attack speed just rape your frames and cannot really be played. That's all I really want to mention for this character for now, and I just want to go over the gear and show you how I built it and what can be better for making it, you know, something like 5 times more DPS than it currently is, as you can see it here. So obviously the character is dead. I can't show you it in-game anymore since it's in a Void League, but I can still show you the gear from the character tree in the website, and overall it's pretty damn average. It's not anything you shouldn't be able to get throughout leveling by yourself, and I'll go over it right now. So a Siege Axe, it doesn't really matter. You can go Siege Axe, maces, or scepters, all that sort of stuff for your sundering. And this thing I self-crafted, basically as attack speed, some fizz, and crafted fizz, something like 290 physical DPS. Pretty damn easy and basic to get. Ideally, you'd have a Doriani's Catalyst, I think, as your best possible weapon, or just a really high DPS axe or mace. Then in the offhand we have Prismatic Eclipse, which is good by all means, but a Tempestuous Steel, which gives you 15% fire and lightning additional damage, is better for our setup, so that's a much better weapon in the offhand. I just happen to not find one. It's a really common 1-alch item though. And then the rest of the gear is actually pretty basic. There's not really anything to it, just some life resist there. Life resist attack speed is good. Life resist no movement speed even, because our leap slam is so fast, it didn't really need to ever move. Life and resists there. Life resists, you can see a theme, and then a bit of life resists, and of course the intimidation, which is 10% damage, a bit of extra fizz damage as well. So overall you can see we're missing 30 wed there, 30 wed there, there, as well as additional physical damage or other bits and pieces for elemental damage, which is a huge deal. It's like not having or it's like having an additional this entire node here and this entire node here. So that's 10 passive, let's just say we're missing, for example. Then we're using a Tsiri Flask, a Jade Flask, a Wise Oak, and a Granite. And instead of the Granite, you have a Lion's Roar. That's a lot more damage. And instead of the Jade, you could also have a Taste of Hate, for example, which is also a lot more damage. And currently I am spec'd into the Onslaught side of things here because I felt it was worth the risk getting a bit more attack speed and damage, but ideally you are spec'd into Avatar of the Veil because it still gives damage but a lot more defensive without the elemental status ailments ever affecting you, and then it means you can drop one of these flasks and put your bleed on your main flask here, and then you can have just 4 unique flasks if you really want, which, like I said, Lion's Roar and Taste of Hate would be pretty good as well. Now overall I did end up balancing my Wise Oak for 2 of my resists, which is Lightning and Cold, which is the main bulk of my damage. So we have Fizz to Lightning over here and then the Cold nodes down here, which means roughly half my damage is Lightning, half of it is Cold, and Wise Oak being balanced for those 2 resists gives you 20% additional penetration there, and it's very important to try and do, if not at least just one of your resists. So for one of them, I had Cold for most of the time. Getting that second Lightning is just another level for our DPS. As you can see in the video, Hatred is my aura of choice. It gives you damage based off of your physical additional cold before the conversion, so it is 35% extra cold there, and then you get some Herald of Ash extra fire as well as the overlap damage. It's quite good. Vile Lightning Trap for your single target quite a lot of the time, and Vile Haste, both linked to increased duration. Nothing really important over here. We use an Ice Golem just for a bit of extra accuracy and crit. For our movement skill, it's Blood Magic attached to Leap Slam and then faster attacks and Fortify. Overall, Leap Slam felt really good with this much attack speed. I didn't want to use Whirling Blades even though I could, and Shield Charge wouldn't have felt as good as this either. You just have a lot of versatility with Leap Slam when you have this much attack speed. And then down here, our War Chief totem setup is War Chief, added Fire, Melee Fizz, and Weapon Elemental. Ideally, probably get rid of Add Fire and put Fizz to Lightning instead. That should be an overall gain. And for the main setup, we had Sunder into Multi-Strike, into Weapon Elemental damage, into Melee Fizz, into Fizz to Lightning, and the 6th link is probably Ele Focus. So to give you an actual example of a DPS, I have plugged in my entire character as it is right now into Path of Building, and here we are. Total DPS, it's 200,000 at the moment. Now that's with frenzies, that's with both my flasks and with Onslaught. So overall, that's our actual DPS. The tooltip in-game is something like 70,000. Clearly that's not quite accurate. Based off of the actual damage we get from Path of Building. However, when you upgrade all of the gear, I'll show you exactly what happens. So we swap our weapon for Catalyst, which is pretty damn good. Tempestuous Steel, which just gives you a bunch of extra damage based off of your Fizz in the offhand. A Lion's Roar and a Taste of Hate. Now this does unbalance my resists a bit, so I'm not getting the lightning penetration as well, which means I'd have 20% lightning pen, which is worth something like another 30 to 50,000 damage. Already we're 3 times higher, and a lot of my gear hasn't actually been changed at all, so I don't have the weapon elemental damage, which you could get 30 to 40% of on each of these pieces, totaling something like 150% weapon Ele. And as well as that, I did attach my 6th link, which is Ele Focus, and we're at 630,000. So that's 3 times already. And to simulate just extra weapon Ele damage from our rings and amulet and belt, we just grab these 10 nodes like I said, and boom, we're at 720 20,000. So there is still quite a lot of room for improvement. This isn't quite 5 times, but it does definitely get that high with some better dual sockets and refinement of all the gear. So all in all, it becomes a pretty competitive build, and this is a fairly accurate DPS. You're not going to lose too much on something like a Shaper. You only go down by maybe half or something. If we just have a quick look, is the enemy a Shaper? Yes, it is. You're still at 430,000 DPS, which is a huge amount against Shaper. Some of my Chaos builds with Poison and all that have less than this against Shaper, just because they're so reliant on the duration of the poison damage, the Chaos resist, as well as curses. So all in all, it becomes pretty damn good, and Ele Sunder has been pretty damn fun to play. It's something that will probably still be playable for 3.0, but as it stands, definitely something you can try out while the gear's available and pretty damn cheap. You can build crit versions of it. You can build, like I said, Lightning Strike, Frost Blades, or a full Cold Sunder if you want to not use Fist of Lightning and use Crimsora instead. Basically, there's a lot of options over here that I haven't really played around with before on a character like this, and it's been pretty damn fun, even though it's solo self-found and my gear has been restricted. So I'll leave the passive tree for you guys if you want to play around with it. And as always, hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.